You here? Yeah, yeah. Let's get straight to it. I'm right back at you like I never left, and I'm gonna go this hard to my last breath. It's Lil Kenny Russell, Canoom, Consul, Boom. You already know what you're gonna get when you step in this room. You're now dealing with Canoom. Yeah, yeah, I'm here. And while I'm here, I'm gonna make the information direct and clear because a lot of y'all can't hear. Now, welcome back to Make My Ancestors Great Again. This is another episode of According to the Bible. This is According to the Bible, part 17, and um, this is regarding the Proverbs. Now, the book of Proverbs was written by one King Solomon. This is how the story goes now. Now, as you know, I'm going to give you a bit of information about Solomon. He's supposedly the greatest, wisest king of all time. He had 700 wives and all this old nonsense, but he had a very special father, King David, the man that beat up Goliath and all this carrying on. But these are two of God's favorites. David was one of God's favorites. He wrote the Psalms. Solomon was one of God's favorites. He wrote this Proverbs nonsense. So we're going to look at that today. And my question for today is, what's God's stance on foolishness and fools? Do God love fools or do God reject fools? Okay? Condemn them. Let's look at the ancestors and we'll get straight to it. Okay? Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I thank you for watching.
There's one thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception.
Right. That's the ancestors. That's the great Dr. John Henry Clark. And the quote is, nothing that came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And there's no exception. Tomorrow's ancestors speak, and I'm going to bring on the great Walter Williams. Okay. For me, he's the number one researcher of this generation, of this time period, in my opinion. Okay. I didn't say it was fact or law. I said in my opinion, because history comes with he would call it a recipe or ingredients, should I say, ingredients. 5 ingredients: time, real people, real places, real events, causing real things to happen. Okay. So time, people, places, and events, causing real things to happen. Okay. So that's history, according to Walter Williams. And if you can't find the stuff that they're projecting that was in history, through history, then a lot of times it's non-historical. I would always bet that it's non-historical other than the other way around. If I didn't find it in history, I would like to conclude it as non-historical. That's my opinion, okay? You don't have to follow that. That's not no ideology that I want to say that you must follow. That's my understanding, okay? So we're going to bring on the great Walter Williams and just hear from him. Today, let's look at the Proverbs. So remember what Numbers 23:19 said yesterday in the New Living Translation. God is not a man that he shall lie, nor is he a human that he will change his mind. You hear me? So let's remember that. Deuteronomy 23:19. That's it wasn't Numbers. It was Deuteronomy 23:19. Okay. So let's look at these scriptures. I got 2 scriptures for you. This is Proverbs 25. I believe that's 5. Let me look at it on my side. 25:4. Okay. Proverbs 25:4. And let's look at what it states. This is the King James Version. No, 26. I'm sorry. Proverbs 26:4 says this, simple and plain. Answer not a fool according to his foolishness. You hear me? Hold on. I don't want to be that small. Making me small to know literary history. I don't want to be small compared to the Bible. Either we can be at the same size or I'll be larger than the Bible, because there's no doubt that I'm historical and I'm a human being. The Bible speaks about mythology, allegory, fiction, flat out lies, and wives' tales. Okay, so let's do that again. Proverbs 26:4. Answer not a fool according to his folly. Folly means foolishness. Lest thou also be like unto him. Okay? Very simple and plain. Say, answer a fool. I'm sorry, it said, do not answer a fool in his foolishness, unless you'll be a fool just like he is. That's what this is saying in layman's terms. Now, if you turn to the very next verse, scripture, this is the same verse. I got them back to back. I just read 4. Now I'm going to read 5. See, God don't change his mind. Once he give you a set of rules and instructions, that's the way it is. So verse 4 says, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Layman's terms, do not answer a fool according to his foolishness, because you'll be a fool just like him. See, because you dibbling and dabbling in foolishness. Now, let's see what number 5 say. You hear me? So that must be God's stance on foolishness. Do not entertain a fool on his foolishness. Look at verse 5. Answer a fool according to his folly. Excuse me? That's peculiar. Because in verse 4 it says, answer not a fool according to his folly. So this God is either having some type of short-term memory loss, amnesia, or why is this so close up under the other one? In one breath, he can say, I stand on this. In the next breath, he can change his mind. What type of God is this, African people? You hear me? Answer not a fool according to his foolishness. That's what folly means. Lest he be wise in his own conceit. So first it says, do not answer a fool according to his foolishness, unless you are turned into a fool just like him. Then you turn to 5 and say, go ahead and answer the fool on his foolishness. If not, he'll be wise with his own conceit. That means he'll have knowledge of his own self and he'll think he's wise in that. Wow, that's peculiar. This God doesn't even have a stance on whether you should entertain a fool or should you not entertain a fool. But see, these are the Proverbs of Solomon. God's one of his favorite men, the greatest, wisest man on the planet. This was inspired by God through Solomon. So they both damn fools. So what's God's stance on foolishness? According to the Bible, we'll never know. Because back to back, right here, scripture and verse, back to back, God contradicts himself. The very same verse, 2 different scriptures. Let's go on down. I want to show you something else. Proverbs 26:10 says this. See, God is confused about foolishness, but guess what he do for a fool? Okay? Proverbs 26:10 says, the great God, okay? The great God that formed both, wait, let me pause mine. The great God that formed all things, both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth the transgressor. So up top in 26:4-5, when he said, hey, don't answer a fool with his foolishness, unless you'll become a fool just like him. Then he go on and say, you know what? Answer a fool on his foolishness, because if not, he'll become wise and conceit and think he's wise, and he'll try to live out his wiseness. Very confusing. But this is what God really think about fools. The great God that formed all things, he both rewardeth the fool, he gives a fool a reward, okay, and he rewardeth transgressors. So in your transgression and foolishness, God will give you a reward in that. That's how the story goes now. So do God reward fools and all this type of stuff, or what's his stance on foolishness? According to the Bible, we'll never know. In 4 or 5, in Proverbs 26:4-5, he said, don't entertain a fool. I'm sorry. Proverbs 26:4, he says, don't entertain a fool on his foolishness, unless you'll be a fool like him. Proverbs 26:5, he says, entertain that fool on his foolishness. If not, he'll think he's wise in his own conceit. What's God's stance on foolishness? Should you entertain it or shouldn't you? According to the Bible, we'll never know. Then you turn to Proverbs 26:10. It says, God rewards the fool and the transgressor. This is how the story goes now. That's my thoughts on all this nonsense. The Bible is a book that one has to believe in. Without your belief, nothing in the Bible is real. God not too sure about a lot of things. In Proverbs 26, okay? It's little Kenny Russell, Canoom, Consul, Moon. You already know what you're going to give me. Step in this room, you're now dealing with Canoom. This is what I do, and I love to do it. And before I take back what I said, I add some more to it. This is according to the Bible 17. What's God's stance on foolishness? Education and preparation is the first step to retaliation. So before you pick up a weapon or a silly religion, pick up some knowledge. Okay? If anybody's offended by anything you heard, I mean every word. Yeah, yeah.